due in a couple of weeks. How are we going to balance all of that with what my agency is asking of us? And so it was just a real challenge that first week to try to figure out how to make all of that fit. And I'd be really interested to hear what other people are doing with their community coalitions, especially DFC coalitions, because we obviously have some requirements, things that have to be done. How are they handling those things, and what are they finding as solutions?
Yeah, we will open that up. We're going to talk through some school-based stuff, and then we'll open it up to just kind of the more community-based, and then we'll talk about coalitions as well, because coalitions are, if you work with one, a little bit different. I think coalitions have a unique opportunity to really stay engaged. But that's a good question. I didn't think about the DFC requirements. So DFC grantees, be thinking about an answer to that question. And thank you, Nadia. All right. All right, I will hand it over to Barbara Adams-Marin. You had your hand raised. Is there anything you would like to share with the group?
This is Barbara Adams-Marin from Solutions in Warren and Clinton counties. And our school-based people and our early childhood mental health specialists have been keeping in touch with all of the teachers and staff, doing a lot with technology, team meetings and things like that. We're largely been waiting for the schools to figure out how they are going to manage distance learning and where we can fit into that on a weekly basis, and coming up with a lot of the ideas I'm sure others have thought of for and have already shared about using videos and audio and things like that. One of the things that we're concerned about is continuing to stay in touch with any students we were working with in small groups, and maintain that connection and relationship, and be as supportive as possible. When, not surprisingly, we're hearing a lot about higher levels of anxiety during this time. We're also involved with putting information on all kinds of information, coping skills, as well as just other things people need to know in the grab-and-go food bags. And James, you'll be pleased to know that we did get our Facebook page, and a new Facebook page up and running, and are posting daily around noontime. So really hoping that we can get connected to the schools again as they move into the distance learning, and trying to just be present.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Barbara. If I could ask a follow-up question, you mentioned something about sharing information through the food bank, which is something, as we were planning for this, we were kind of talking about, ideas, and that's something that we came up with. And I'm sure many people have had that idea. What are you sharing in those food banks? Where are you getting those resources? Is that something you've come up with, or?
One of them was from the Ohio Department of Health, and it had some of the suggestions for parents and families. We also have found some other resources. There's a site that many of the staff use, Counselor Carrie. And one thing that we took from her site was a way to keep engaged with social emotional learning skills, and made it into like a tic-tac-toe game for families. So how many can you get 3 in a row, and or how many days does it take to hit all 9 areas, things like that. So we're trying to come up with different things every week, but initially a lot of the information was what we were all receiving from CDC, from the ODH, and OMAS. So trying to help families with creating regular structure and routines at home, different activities that they can engage in together. Everybody's having to learn to live in a new rhythm, in a new way, and also being gentle on yourselves, because part of this process, I think, involves grieving what we've had to let go and embracing opportunity. And as Deb was sharing earlier, you know, which way are you going to go? Are you going to look for the opportunities, or just what was lost during this time? So those are the kinds of things that we've been putting in the grab and go bag.
Awesome, I appreciate it. We did have a question someone asked. Again, what agency are you from? And even though I know the answer, I will let you answer that.
Solutions Community Counseling and Recovery Centers. And we serve Warren and Clinton counties.
Thank you very much, Barbara. All right. I had the, I can say I had the pleasure of working with Barbara for the last couple of years prior to coming to Prevention Action Alliance. So I know that Clinton and Warren counties are in good hands. Robin Snyder, I will hand it over to you. So you have your hand raised.
Well, I just had one question because my computer faded out. When she was talking about the tic-tac-toe, what was that resource that she used other than ODH?
Barbara, I'm going to come back to you. She said that it was something called Counselor Carrie. I'm not familiar with that. Barbara, could you elaborate?
Counselor Carrie creates a Facebook page, and she has lots of ideas and things that she shares on a regular basis. And particularly the early childhood team follows her for suggestions. And we just took an idea that she had and adapted it into something that would be more of a game or way for whole families to engage with it. But she does have some excellent things. And it's, I think if you just Googled Counselor Carrie, you'd find it. I don't have the details off the top of my head.
All right. Any other questions, comments, anything from our school-based prevention specialists that they would like to share with us? I do see a note from Kim Linkle, and it looks like she's telling me that they have a webinar will be coming up to address the concerns coalitions have about meeting the requirements. I apologize, I think I overlooked that a few minutes ago. That was about the DFC requirements. So stay tuned if you are a DFC grantee, and we can circle back to that a little bit more when we get to our coalition part of the discussion. All right. Anyone else have anything to add around school-based prevention? All right, we do have a question, few questions coming in the chat section. If anyone has any questions, please let me know if you have an answer, and we can talk about these. Jody Salvo is wanting to know if any school-based prevention departments are offering a virtual life skills program. Mr. Greg Morrison from NAZO, which I know I'm not pronouncing that correctly, so my apologies. Community partners in Wayne, Holmes, serving Holmes County schools through Google Classrooms. So looks like they're using Google Classrooms as a way to stay connected. We'll go to Linda Loeb, has her hand up. Linda, we'll hand it over to you.
Oh, thank you. I'm Linda Logue from Wood County ESC, and just kind of on behalf of all of our staff, one who is tied up with schooling right now, but we are using Google Classroom and one of us figured out a way to create individual folders and send activities that way, so it keeps it confidential and private and scheduled. You can actually schedule the activity. So that was one of the things that I was really impressed with one of my coworkers for figuring that out.
That sounds excellent. Could you or could anyone in the room tell us a little bit more about Google Classrooms? All right. If anyone has any information around Google Classrooms they'd like to share, send that to me and we can share that out with everyone. Christina Lotta Landefeld, I'm going to hand it over to you. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Sure. Can you hear me all right?
I sure can.
Okay. This is Christina. It sounds like you only got my last name, which is funny. So anyways, yeah, so we at Envision Partnerships in Butler County, we have a lot of school-based work and we do a lot of community work. We're sort of split 50-50-ish. So we have several preventionists who are doing work in multiple school districts, and we, like all of you, have had to learn very quickly how to adjust. One thing that we do is we provide small group support, but we also do life skills training. So going to the Google Classrooms piece of it, because each school district has a different platform that they use, we've had to navigate through that. So we ended up creating a Google account for the agency, and then we're providing short videos for life skills training specifically. And then that also go with resources and have some activities for the students to again be able to make sure that they're able to engage with us so that we know that they're watching and following along. And then we've been sharing those out through our Google Drive. So when a teacher especially so if you're not in a school district and a teacher is using Google Classroom, they can actually make you a secondary teacher. And so it's just access through that way. You do need to have a Google account as far as I know. So again, that was helpful for us to be able to provide that information that way. If you work for a school district, I think Google Classroom is a lot easier to gain access with, but otherwise you're just communicating with someone who's got a Google Classroom started.
It's great information. Thank you for sharing. Mary Gase, I will hand it over to you.
Hi, I am just going to follow up on what the last speaker said. I'm in Wood County as well, school-based prevention. And for our life skills, my students at our school district are very used to direct contact, one-on-one, excuse me, not one-on-one, knowing that just giving them paper or the book was not going to work. I went ahead and made a video and uploaded it to YouTube, and then gave the link to the classroom teacher who posted it on Classroom. And then to make sure that the students were actually completing it, I made a Google form for them to complete, very simple questions, just making sure they watched it. And then once that is complete, the Google form will let me know that the student has completed that form and did the lesson.
Oh, that's a really neat idea. You know, you could even use the form, I'm thinking, twice and do a pre-test and a post-test in a way,
Yes.
you know, on any information you're sharing. yeah, that's really creative. For those that may not be so technically inclined, how are you recording your YouTube video? Are you just doing that with your phone? Is that a pretty simple process? What does that look like?
That's a good question. It was not an easy process for me because I'm not super technologically advanced. I went ahead and videoed it on my iPad, and I was thinking that I would just be able to upload it right to Classroom for the teacher, and it took me several days. I also live in the country. My internet is not super strong to upload, so that is also an issue that came in. So I fiddled with it for several days, finally decided, our administrative assistant recommended just trying to use YouTube to use it. And thank God I have teenagers in my house. They helped me upload it to YouTube. That was the only way. It was about a 20-minute video, and that was the only way I could get it uploaded to something that then the students could get to. So I created a YouTube channel for myself. And as this stay-at-home order stays in place and school is probably going to be delayed more and more, I'll just use that YouTube channel to upload more videos.
Excellent. So my takeaway, even though you're not super technically inclined, is that you were still able to do it. So I think that's a message of hope. For those
yes. And if I'm
thinking
able to do it, anybody should be able to.
Oh, there we go. Did have someone ask if you would be willing to share your YouTube video?
Sure. If you send me directions on where to post it or what to do with it, that would be fine.
Okay. So at the very end of this, we're going to have an email address up. You can email a link to that, and then I will reach out to you also.
Okay, that sounds great.
I'd love to share with everybody. Awesome. Thank you so much.
They can't laugh at me too hard.
You know, we're all adapting, and nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. All right. Anyone else in the school-based prevention world that has any resources to share? Anything that you'd like to address? All right. Let's move on. Let's talk to our community-based prevention specialist. When I think of community-based prevention, I think somebody that works for a prevention-only agency or a community mental health center that provides prevention services. You know, these are your people that, you know, as we go into summer, you know, we'll be working at fairs and festivals and just reaching out and providing prevention messaging to universally to everyone in the community. So if you feel like you fit in this category, I'd love to hear from a few of you about what your current work environment looks like, what you've been doing. Have you found a way to stay connected to your community? I'd love to hear from people that are working through social media, sharing ideas, sharing things with parents, even staying engaged with young people through social media. And then again, let's talk about any struggles that you've encountered and see if anyone has any ideas to counteract those. So feel free to share something in the question box or raise your hand if you'd like to speak with everyone, you know, over the microphone or if you called in. All right, as our community-based prevention specialists are working diligently to come up with a question, I will open it up also to our any coalition members, to a coalition coordinator or director or staff or volunteer or have any interaction with coalition. please feel free to chime in as well. All right, Jody, looks like you've got something.
Can you hear me?
I sure can.
You know what, there's just a couple little things we've been working on that I think might be helpful. The prescription drug disposal, everyone is stuck in their houses right now. So I think it's a really good time to leverage the drug deactivation bags if your coalition is promoting them. So we're buying print ads right now for newspaper, PSA for radio, and then we have a little local TV station. And we're just preempting the ads where, look, if you're at home doing some spring cleaning, don't forget your medicine cabinets. So it's just a kind of a nice way. And we're kind of working on a workaround with Dr. Miracle about her mailing out drug deactivation bags with us, which we've never done the mailing of them out. So just kind of something that we're playing with a little bit, which I think is helpful. And then the other thing that we're working kind of our school-based and our coalition together is we are just owning the positive messaging on the coronavirus. Like, take this time, spend it with your family, look at the opportunity. So we are providing drop-in ads on our local media. We're offering our major newspaper 3 ads a week, articles a week, and then everyone else gets articles as well, just on how to maximize family time, prevention tips. So it's kind of keeping our face in the community, and the media has been very receptive. So radio's doing some interviews, and then we're making posts that go with the articles. So then there's Facebook activities that you can do with your family. Everything is, what can the family do to leverage this time to connect as a family, to bond as a family. So it's increasing our social media hits, and it's a kind of a community benefit. So I think it's working well. That's it.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you for sharing. I will say that I know Marcy, our executive director, alluded to something we're working on. I would invite everyone to stay tuned to our social media and any newsletters you receive from us over the next 40 days. Hint, hint, I think we've got some awesome information coming out that will be useful both for you and to share. You know, we want to provide content right now that can be used by everyone, can be shared by everyone. So please, you know, stay tuned for that. Mary Wolf, it looks like you have your hand up, but it doesn't look like you are connected to a microphone, so I can't hear anything. If you'd like to type in the chat box anything that you'd like to share, I can read that for you, and we can go from there. Daryl Brake, looks like you've got some stuff to share.
Hello?
Hi,
Hello?
we can hear you.
Oh, okay, great.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just, what we have done is we immediately started working with our website to try and let our county know how they could access updating information from the health department and some of the other key websites. We're kind of sharing how people can get information. The other thing, this caught us at a interesting time in that we had just purchased problem gambling billboards inside our buses. And so we couldn't pull that back. They just put them up. But what we found is that people are still riding buses, and so they're seeing the signs. One of the things on our signs, we also had billboards, electronic billboards that we had set up around the county in some of the higher traffic pattern areas. And when this hit, of course, that impacted the traffic. But we have gotten responses from the billboards because we offered, if someone would take the survey, they could get a Subway gift card. And so we've had requests for Subway gift cards, so people are seeing that. but it's not nearly what we wanted. But we're committed to that, so we're staying with it. The other thing we're doing is we're working. We felt that in these stressful times, people are pushed to some of their gambling. Even though the casinos were closed, we had been hearing stories of people gambling. I actually was in a Sheetz gas station and saw a man doing scratch offs, and he started screaming and shouting and cheering. Apparently, he had did 5 scratch offs and lost, and the 6th one, he won all of his money back plus $10. He started telling people, and as he was telling his story, he shared more about how he'd been gambling more. And so we've been working with trying to do more outreach and educational awareness through our electronic media and through our website around problem gambling. I do agree with Jody about the opportunity to talk about drug disposal as well, because that's kind of trying to help those that are struggle with that disease. And one opportunity that seems may have come up is our food bank has had a lot of people coming in to pick up food. And so one of the things we're going to look at is would it make sense for us to be there and make available the disposal pouches. We've also been still doing work on framing and preparing our marijuana messages for the appropriate time. One of the big things about it is we're trying to be sensitive to what is happening with the coronavirus and how we can tailor our prevention message to seamlessly fit. And so that's a challenge that we've been working on. That's pretty much it.
Daryl, I think the idea of sharing disposal pouches with food banks and those limited places where there still may be some interaction, I think that's incredibly innovative. I think that's a great idea. You mentioned problem gambling, so I will promote, for those of you that aren't aware, there's some great resources at Change the Game Ohio. That's the new youth gambling campaign aimed towards youth influencers, so adults, teachers, to teach them how to spot some of the warning signs of gambling, as well as Before You Bet. That is the adult-focused campaign. You can learn more at beforeyoubet.org. Both of those sites have community toolkits available, or toolkits rather, for community prevention, school-based prevention, various types of media, be it social media, billboards, whatever you may need. And then we also have a great resource with those that we can partner you with Orgo Branding, the company that is working on those. And they can create custom products for you, things with your logo on them that you can share as well. So good resource, several good resources from Daryl. So thank you for sharing. Deb, it looks like you've got your hand up. I will hand it over to you.
Hi, hello again. I just wanted to share, you had asked earlier how we're keeping in communication with the young people that we work with. We have a group of over 150 students from grades 7 through 12 in Fairfield City School District that we work directly with to help teach leadership skills and life skills, and then to provide opportunities for youth-led prevention and policy advocacy. So with our students in grades 9 through 12, we have, and we've always communicated through an app called GroupMe. I'm sure many of you have heard of it, but if you haven't, it's a great way, because like students aren't the best, at least in our school, about answering their emails. So we find that they do like to do stuff on their phone, and the GroupMe app has been a really effective way to keep in touch. And we've just been reaching out to them and kind of sharing funny things back and forth, sharing ways that we're coping, sending pictures of positive coping strategies and that type of thing. And then with our students in grades 7th and 8th grade, we do not have access to their phone numbers. So our youth coordinator is sending out letters directly to the parents every week, just to give them updates and give them ideas for how to interact with the students and how to maximize their ability to take advantage of this family time. That's all.
Great, thank you. Mary Wolf, who wanted to share some information, she sent that in, so I will share that out with the group. Looks like in Clermont County, they're working with their 12 sector partners, like food banks, faith communities, education, but they're still also working with their local suicide coalition to do some brainstorming about what people are still doing in the community. Getting info out like the text line and phone support. They can also share content with all of their partners through newsletters, Facebook pages, etc. So kind of making a unified or sharing a unified message. And then Mary says she's also seeing a lot of alcohol and adults talking about alcohol as a tool for stress management. So this may be an opportunity for some positive framing of social norms. That you know, staying healthy is going to be very important to counter what's going on, and maybe working on messaging around social norms instead of doing a Zoom happy hour every day for wine with DeWine, which is something we have talked about as well. That you know, it seems to be more and more socially acceptable with everyone home to, you know, do that 2 o'clock happy hour. So, you know, some positive social messaging around healthy social norms, that, you know, just because everyone is at home at 2 o'clock doesn't mean that happy hour at 2 o'clock every day, especially if you were demonstrating that behavior for any children, doesn't mean that that's okay. So great thoughts, Mary. Thank you for sharing. Jody, looks like you have your hand up. I will hand it off to you.
You're handing this to me?
Yeah, I'm sorry, you had your hand up. Did you not?
I did not.
All right. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. You just.
All right, Marcy.
James?
Marcy, yeah, you had your hand up. Love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind everyone, many people on this webinar in this town hall know about our KNOW program. If you're new to us, perhaps you don't know about it. But it's just a reminder that our KNOW program is continuing without stop, without a hitch. Twice a month, we will have in your inbox a tip about what's relevant today and what people can do with their young people and things to look out for with their young people during this difficult time. So I encourage you, if you get the KNOW tips, please consider sharing them far and wide with those that you are working with. And if you're not signed up for our KNOW tips, I encourage you to do so at preventionactionalliance.org. I just read a preview of one that's coming out the first part of April, and it's tremendous, and it gives a lot of good information. So please think about that as a tool in your toolbox during this time. I know many of you do use it, but please go ahead and spread those out as far as you can into the community, because this is the type of information that will keep us together and working to keep our young people safe. Thanks, James.
Yeah, thank you, Marcy. We can work to, in our follow-up email, send out a sign-up for anyone that is not receiving those and would be interested in getting those in their inbox. All right, Christina, you have your hand up?
Yeah,
Okay,
sure. One thing, just sort of repeating, sounds like a couple of other people are also doing this, but our Suicide Prevention Coalition meeting, because we know that that's obviously people are at higher risk right now, certainly with the social isolation that's happening. And speaking of, we are trying to, like many others, just change the language and using physical distancing instead of social distancing, and really drawing attention to that and emphasizing the social connectedness piece of it. So our Suicide Prevention Coalition meeting generally happens every quarter, but we're going to have a virtual meeting this week to talk to community members and get their ideas for things. We have a couple of Hope Squads, so youth will hopefully be in attendance with that as well. So we'll be getting their voice as that. And then we haven't set them up yet, but we are planning to take advantage of the opportunity to do some QPR gatekeeper trainings that are web-based. And then we have 2 people in our agency who can do PACS tools trainings for the community. So to help teach really just helpful tips for parents right now dealing with kids who are at home, and helping to teach the peace and productivity that PACS offers. So we've got a PACS tools training that's happening this afternoon from 4 to 5:30, and I just heard that there's 53 people who are signed up for that. So we weren't sure what the response was going to be, but we're thinking that we might be able to make that a more regular occurrence, especially because there are so many schools that have introduced PACS at the school level, so the teachers know about it, they can help get the information out. But then this really drives home PACS by equipping parents with similar skills. And then lastly, several of our employees created some messages that were sort of speaking directly to students and community members that was posted on our Facebook page, but we're going to connect it to a blog as well. That's just really messages of hope. So the part of it is sort of a direct message from, like you were talking about, how did we do this? We took a video of ourselves, mostly just from our phone, but where we're directly looking into the camera. It's offering some words of hope, and we're going to get through this, and we're going to be stronger as a community that, you know, we're pushing out and hoping that students and others will get. So those are just a few of the things that we're trying to do to reach our community members.
Hey, thank you. Someone had a question about PACS. I was hoping you could give a little information about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the PACS Good Behavior Game is generally what it goes as, is a program that, it's not actually a program at all. It's something that is used in the classroom primarily, and it promotes social emotional learning. It's, you know, trauma informed, but it really focuses on promoting its peace, productivity, health, and happiness through a number of, in the classroom, there's sort of tools that are built on top of each other. So it starts off with something called a PACS Vision, where the students are really the ones that lead the discussion and the teacher helps with it. But we use it more at the elementary school level, but it's been expanded out through middle school, high school as well. But PACS Vision is really the basis of all this, and it starts off with what are things that we want to see, feel, do, and hear more of, and then also do, see, feel, and hear less of. So that sort of sets up the environment, and then there are other pieces that are part of it. But PACS has great resources available, and then PACS Tools takes it from classroom language into household language and just gives tips on how to promote those things in home.
Awesome, thank you. Then someone asked, they didn't get your name and information when you started talking, and they would like to connect with you. Would you be willing to share a good way to get a hold of you?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm certain that you have my email address as well. But my name is Christina Latta, and I work at Envision Partnerships, and we do prevention in Butler County primarily. And we're, like I said, both school-based and community-based.
Excellent, thank you. And is there so a couple of people have asked questions about PAX. So it's PAX is P-A-X, correct?
PAX is P-A-X, and it stands for peace in Latin.
All right, and is there sorry to put you on the spot as our PAX expert, but do you know of a good website to find information about that, or do you guys have anything on the Envision Partnership page?
Sure, yeah, we have some information on our page. I'm going to give you paxohio.org. And
excellent, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is somebody who's been hired recently who's actually helping to spread the word about PAX and to get people updated on that. So James, I will follow up with that person and see if I can get her information to you as well.
Okay, that would be great. And we can send out as much as we can in our follow-up email, and then hopefully connect some people that might be interested, and you guys can move forward. So I appreciate the information and everything you guys are doing down there at Envision Partnerships.
Thank you.
All right, looks like Robin Snyder, I will hand it over to you. Robin, you had your hand up. Was there something you wanted to share? All right. May have been an accidental hand raise there. All right. Any other feedback, questions, anything anyone would like to share? I'll just open it up to the floor at this point. Best practices for staying connected to people you serve. You know, any struggles that you have that you'd like to maybe get some feedback on from the group, or we can open it up at this time to JP, who went earlier with legislative updates. If anyone has legislative questions about any of those things that you went over, or how to get more information on any of that stuff, he's willing to take questions as well. All right. Well, last thing I was hoping we could talk about, and there will be some questions on this in the follow-up survey. Talk about online training. Has anyone found any resources that they have thought to be useful as far as online training opportunities, ways that we as a field can use some of this time to advance our personal knowledge and take advantage of being in front of a computer all day? Diana Smith.
Yeah, can you tell me if there's any ethics online training out there anywhere?
That is a good question. I know that we are at Prevention Action Alliance working to get trainings available, to get things online. We are going to be getting some information from you during the survey on things that you guys would find useful, so we know what to offer. We obviously don't want to offer a bunch of things that people aren't interested in. So you'll have that opportunity to tell us about what you need. But at this point, other than the things we're planning, I'm not sure of anything that's out there right now. All right. Well, it looks like no one has anything else to add. So I will just ask everybody once again that you complete the brief survey that we send out afterwards. Bobby Persinger has said that there are some self-paced opportunities for ethics and other trainings. You can reach out to the credentialing board for access. And it looks like he's talking about specifically for the ethics training. So you can reach out there. I know Stacy mentioned earlier that eBased is available and it's a great free resource. I don't know that they have ethics. I know ethics are some of the harder hours to come by, especially online. But I think that is something that you will be hearing more about from us in the not too distant future. So all that said, I thank you guys. Thank you everyone for attending. You know, I appreciate everyone's feedback. I know this is a very odd time for us. We're people that are usually out in the community, out in schools, engaging, you know, shaking hands, meeting with our 12 sectors. So I appreciate everyone coming together. Please fill out the survey that we'll send out later. We'll also be including I will send out the survey, and then after that, I will take some time to compile resources that we talked about. We will send those resources out in a separate email. Please check out preventionactionalliance.org or our social media to get some information on our upcoming trainings, our 40-day project that we are working on, and a ton of other great resources that you'll be able to share via your social media. So all that said, thank you all. I hope you have a great day. I hope everyone stays safe and stays well. And I look forward to seeing you all again in person, hopefully very soon. So thank you all very much.